May the Lord answer you when you are in distress. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you. May he send you help from the sanctuary and grant you support from Zion. May he remember all your sacrifices and accept your burnt offerings. May he give you the desire of your heart and make all your plans succeed. May we shout for joy over your victory and lift up our banners in the name of our God. May the Lord grant all your requests. Now this I know, the Lord gives victory to his anointed. He answers him from his heavenly sanctuary with victorious power of his right hand. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. They are brought to their knees and fall, but we rise up and stand firm. Lord, give victory to the King. Answer us when we call. This is the name of the Lord, or this is the word of God. Whoops.
Good morning. So I'm trying to work out, does this mean that this is the group of people that didn't get to go somewhere super exciting for 4th of July? Or just the people that managed to get back in time for Sunday morning? How many of you got to bed before midnight last night? Oh, that's a good showing. That would have been nice. I was messaging with a friend this week, and she was sharing with me just some worries and struggles that she has. She is over in the UK. She was listening to one of the sermons, the one where we talked about gentleness and how we don't have it, and she was talking about how she needs to grow in gentleness as a fruit of the Spirit. And as we're messaging back and forward, thinking about the abundant life and all the good stuff that Jesus has for us, and why don't I experience more of the abundant life all of the time? Why isn't gentleness easier? We ended up texting back and forward about the reality of the life that we live in that is hard, right? Turn to someone next to you and just say, life is hard sometimes. Yeah, it's hard sometimes. I used to think, and I talk to people and I'd say, life is like a roller coaster. We know that image, right? And it's like, sometimes it's high and sometimes it's low. And so I've changed my mind. I don't like that image anymore. I think life is more like parallel railway tracks, where one is good and one is hard, and they just kind of go together. And sometimes this one feels stronger, and sometimes this one feels stronger, but they're always there. There's always hardship underneath the surface. You're bumping into every day. They can be small moments. They can be big moments. But life is, and life contains, a series of battles, a series of events with unknown outcomes that we're facing. And that's the discomfort, right? We don't know how to get through what's in front of us. We don't know the end result of the story, and it's uncomfortable. Psalm 20 is a psalm that is penned about an impending battle. None of us know what tomorrow will bring. The psalmist didn't know what tomorrow will bring. They are facing the anxiety of the unknown. Anyone in here used to feeling the anxiety of the unknown? Yeah, the doctor's appointment that you're walking into, the exam that you're about to take, the prodigal child that you wonder what their future will look like, a tough conversation that you've been mulling over, trying to work out how this will go, the uncertainty of the future. Again, in a season like this, lots of people, it's what are finances going to look like in this season? How is this world going to turn out? There's an anxiety that comes with the unknown that the psalmist is speaking right into the middle of. I think we do ourselves a disservice, and we do the gospel a disservice, when the message that we teach is always the message of everything will turn out all right. We do ourselves a disservice because so much of life is unknown. So much of life can be uncomfortable. Life is a series of happy events and fulfilled dreams, but it's also a series of unfulfilled dreams and disappointments and things not going the way that we want them to go. It's not the case, right? Abundance is promised. All our hardship goes away when we put our faith in Jesus. But abundance is promised, and hardship comes alongside all of the joy and the beauty that we experience. With my friend, what we're talking about as we're texting back and forward, I wish the joy and the abundance could come without the hardship. But if my life is anecdotally anything we can go by, often the abundance that I've experienced and the richness of my faith has been found most profoundly in the battles and in the unknown outcomes and in the hardships that I've faced. Battles and unknown outcomes are unavoidable. If you go back to Eden, you had unknown outcomes, but you had complete trust in the Lord. No brokenness, no division, no doubt of who God is. So in Eden, you have unknown outcome. We don't know what the future is going to look like. But I don't know evil, I don't know wickedness, I don't know hardship, but I know a God who's in control. In this fallen dispensation, unknown outcomes always bring us doubt and fear and anxiety. The psalmist, when he's writing, there's a battle approaching. They do not know the outcome. The words are simple, right? But they speak into the situation that we face every day and that many of you might be facing right now. May the Lord answer you when you're in distress. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you. May he send you help from the sanctuary and grant you support from Zion. Psalm 20 is offering us hope and offering us guidance when there's distress, when you need protection, when you're seeking help, and when you're seeking support. How many of us need that this morning? I'm like, I want it. Give me some more. Battles and unknown outcomes are unavoidable. When you're reading through Psalm 20, you can sense two things from the characters in the story. One of them is you can sense the peace of the person that's writing. So you've got one character that's facing a battle. We're going to find out in verse 6 that character is the anointed one or the king or the ruler over Israel. There's some anxiety about the outcome that's in front of them, but the person penning the psalm, either David or one of David's friends, you can sense his peace. May the Lord answer you in your distress, that non-anxious presence. May he protect you in the middle of it. Would he send you some help? But then you can sense under that the anxiety that David, if he's the one leading the battle, must be feeling distress, needing help, needing support. I don't know the outcome. You might not, and most likely you're not being faced today with the anxiety of leading a nation into battle. Anyone? No? Okay, just checking. But we do feel the anxieties of the battles in front of us, right? Our child is struggling. They're struggling in school, they're struggling with friends, they're struggling with rhythm, they're struggling to learn concepts that they need to learn. The anxiety as we await test results, whether it's exam results or bar exams, or whether it's medical results that we're awaiting. The battle of marriage struggle. Like, I'm in this situation, is this all there is? Are we stuck here? Will it ever change? The battle of leadership responsibility. My company, the people I'm overseeing, the direction we're trying to head, the ministry that I'm leading. Often we end up wrestling with this question, do I have what it takes? Do I have what it takes to parent my kid? Do I have what it takes to pass this exam? Do I have what it takes to sort our marriage issues? Do I have what it takes to lead into this next season? The battles and the unknown outcomes often lead us to this place of uncertainty and insecurity. Do I have what it takes? The psalmist is then going to answer that question, right? No. You don't, but there is one who does. But there's a couple of beautiful reminders here as the psalmist goes on, as we walk into these battles. The second thing I'd say here, one of the beautiful reminders of this psalm, we are not meant to face these battles alone. We are not meant to face these battles alone. Sometimes I think the statements that are the simplest to say are the hardest ones for us actually to grab hold of and live out. I can't be the only one that when hard stuff comes up, it's like, I gotta battle through this. When you think about talking to someone about it, you're like, I don't want to complain to them. I don't want to burden them. Like somehow I've got to handle it all myself. We're not meant to face it alone. In this instance, the king has a battle impending, and friends are coming alongside. Just think for a moment of what this psalm is. It could be David writing it. It could be David as the king going into battle. It could be him writing the psalm. If that's the case, what's he doing? He's writing a song that he's giving to the entire nation of Israel to pray and petition and intercede for him as he goes into battle. Right? He's not willing to do it alone. If it's one of David's compadres that's written the psalm, then David is going into battle and his friends around him are saying, we're not willing to let you walk into this alone. Here, I've written a song or a poem that we're going to recite and the nation is going to sing as we intercede for you. It could also be a psalm written by David, prophetically looking into the future. As David says, there's an anointed one who is to come that's going to win a battle. And I'm going to write this song, and for thousands of years, our nation is going to sing this and proclaim this over him as an act of intercession for that moment where Jesus wins victory on behalf of his people. Whatever way it is, they're not walking it alone. The assembly would gather and pray and recite and sing as they're walking down the road. They would pray and recite and sing. The psalm is a picture of a team of people. I like the word assembly, or a congregation, or a crowd of people standing behind as the battle approaches. When we're thinking about Israel as a nation and the king as the one over Israel, the king is the representative of the nation. What happens to the king happens to the nation. If the king is defeated, the nation is defeated. If the king is victorious, the nation is victorious. There's a cause and effect relationship between nation and king. And I think sometimes we come to things like the Psalms, we personalize them, and we forget some of that cause and effect relationship that exists. For us, as the body of Christ, Paul's going to tell us we're members of one body and we all belong to one another. When one part suffers, we all suffer. So we mourn with those who mourn and we rejoice with those who rejoice. There is no such thing in the body of Christ as one person suffering alone and it not affecting the rest of the people. When you suffer, when you face unknown outcomes, when battles are in front of you, it affects everybody. And everybody wants to come alongside you as you face the battle that's there. This part of the psalm, just think of the psalmist's desire for David as he walks into the battle. If you're in a situation where you are looking at someone in your life who's struggling, and you're thinking, I don't know how to pray for them, look at these words and just start praying it over the people around you. Listen to these words. Imagine someone interceding for you with these words. May he give you the desire of your heart and make all your plans succeed. May we, the assembly, shout for joy over your victory and lift up banners in the name of our God. May the Lord grant all your requests. Now this I know, the Lord gives victory to his anointed, and we're anointed as his church. He answers them from his heavenly sanctuary with the victorious power of his right hand. Who wants that prayed over them? Do you know, my challenge for you this week would be take this psalm and just pray over the people in the church. Pray over the people in your life. Your parents, your children, your siblings. Pray over your colleagues at work and see what happens if you take these simple words and start praying it over people. It changes something metaphysically because God moves. It changes something in us because all of a sudden we start looking at ourselves as an alongsider in the battle that they're facing. This is such a beautiful vision of the church carrying one another. If you know someone who's struggling and you're overwhelmed by what to pray, pray Psalm 20. So I want you to think for a moment of the battle that's in front of you, or the unknown outcome that you're wrestling with, or the anxiety that stirs up as you're walking through life right now. I want you to picture it. Sometimes what I like to do with this, just to have a focal point, I want you to come up with some image of what that is. Now, if it's a person that's your battle, then it's easy to put their face in mind. If it's something more abstract, come up with an image and hold it in mind of the battle that's in front of you. Then hear these words of the church over you. May God give you the desire of your heart and make all your plans succeed. May we shout for joy over your victory and lift up our banners in the name of our God. May the Lord grant all your requests. And this I know, the Lord gives victory to his anointed. He answers from his heavenly sanctuary with the victorious power of his right hand. That's his heart for you today. That's his promise for you today. And I want you inside to make a commitment, an intention, a decision inside. I'm going to hold this on behalf of the people round about me, that they're not going to be alone in the battle that they're walking. Battles and unknown outcomes are often places of revelation. This is why I hate them so much. Well, I hate them because they're painful, but I hate them because of the revelation and the refinement that comes in the middle of them. Battles or unknown outcomes help us discover and reveal to us what we're really trusting, if we take the time to notice it. As the psalmist goes on, think about the battle that's impending. Where's the king likely to put his hope as they go to war? Some trust in chariots, some in horses, instruments of battle. The person with the most cavalry is going to win. The person with the most chariots can travel the fastest, unless you're on uneven, muddy ground. But we're not going there. Some put their trust in the instruments of war. Some are counting the size of their army. Some are looking to see, do we have the tools on hand to win this? But the person reassuring the king is saying, some will trust in chariots and some will trust in horses, but we put our trust in the name of the Lord. His character, his reputation, his attributes, his way of being, his heart for us. That's where our trust will be. They are going to fall. The language here is interesting because it's worshipful. They're going to be brought to their knees in obeisance, in surrender. They're going to fall down before the king, but we will arise. I always like that word. We will arise. And it doesn't say stand firm. It literally says we will arise and continue ongoingly. That act of rising up, and we're going to stay rising up and continue to rise up and keep going forward in a posture of ariseness, which stand firm, right? We're going to rise up and we're going to keep going because our trust isn't in the horses and the chariots. Our trust is in the name, the reputation, the character of the God that we serve. What you trust in is revealed when the pressure is on. What you trust in is always revealed when the pressure is on. A lot of the time, the anxiety and the discomfort that you feel is because the thing that you've put your trust in is the very thing that starts to disintegrate when the pressure comes. What's this for me? Confessions of a pastor, right? When the pressure's on, what does Scotty do? Scotty thinks he can fix it. Problems in my family, problems in marriage, problems with friends, problems at work, problems in ministry. I put my hope in my own competence, my own problem-solving ability, plans and strategies. I put my hope in the people I can call and be like, here's my situation. What's the way out? What do I do? Give me a plan. Give me a blueprint. Or if you've been around me long enough, give me a book. What book can I read that will solve all my problems? They're like, you have one, but you're not looking at it. I put my confidence in my ability to control the situation and control the outcome. It is so easy for us to use prayer as a means of trying to control the outcome rather than a way that we connect with the God of the universe and surrender our will to His. Often prayer can feel like the big red button, or as Pete Greig would put it, a big red button in the sky, that if I just pray long enough and hard enough, the red button will be hit and I'll get the outcome that I want. For me, those are the things. My horses and my chariots are my competence, my problem solving, my plans, my ability, the systems, my ability to control. I find myself using a statement that reveals my chariots and my horses. It goes like this: if I only had more time, if I only had more money, if I only had more help, if I only had the right book, the right strategy, the right person. We put our hope in chariots and horses, believing that the things of the world are going to solve the battles that are in front of us. We're in a season in the church, actually, we're the season of the church where the budget is tighter. And we're having conversations and I go, okay, how do we fix it? Where'd you go? Who'd you ask? What do we rent? What do we sell? What do I do? I have strategies. I have ways to fix this stuff. My hope is not in chariots and horses. My hope is in the Lord. It is so easy to revert back to the things of the world. What you trust in is always revealed when the pressure is on. So in those moments where you feel the anxiety of the unknown welling up, pay attention. What's the thing that I've put my hope in that is proving to be useless in the season that I'm in? Battles and unknown outcomes reveal what we're really trusting. The question becomes, can I use the gifts that God has given me without allowing them to supersede the God who gave me the gifts in the first place? Can I use these gifts while trusting God more than I trust the gifts? Can I use my ability to problem solve, but trust God more than my problem solving ability? Can I trust the money that's in my bank account while also trusting the God who supplies in abundance? What are the chariots and horses that you've defaulted to trusting? One of the challenges in these seasons of anxiety, when battles come, when unknown outcomes are there, anxiety is because we get stuck in an inner conversation. We get stuck in a loop in here. How am I going to fix this? What am I going to do? What am I going to say to them? I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. If I was with them, I would say this. I would never say that. But I'm going to say it. And we get stuck in here. And the anxiety builds up. And the nervousness and the planning and the chariots and horses that we're trusting on are all in here. We have to learn and practice breaking into that self-talk. I'm going to have this conversation. I'm going to have this. God, some hope in chariots, some hope in wealth. But I put my trust in the name of the character of the Lord my God. Okay, God, I need help. I'm carrying unforgiveness. Help me to unforgive. Oh, I'm worried about money. I'm worried about money. God, I don't trust in chariots and wealth. I trust in you, God. I need you to be the one that provides. I'll do my part. I'll go get an extra job. I'll get more training. I'll work harder. We've got to learn to interrupt that self-talk. We need to build the habits of coming daily. Well, one of the things they're just simple concepts that I'm like, they just disappear so easily from our mind. And sometimes I don't think we're taught them. And I'm like, did they disappear from mind or did someone just never say it? Christians, pastors, leaders, we're going to tell you, develop daily disciplines with Jesus. We're going to tell you, be in the Word every day. We're going to tell you, build habits of prayer. Part of that is, in order to have a relationship with this God that we worship, we need daily disciplines, just like we do with the people around us. But we're also building in a habit and a discipline that sustains us when the battles come and the unknown outcomes are in front of us. The default becomes, God, I need your help. We want to be like the psalmist. We want to be praying and interceding in advance of the problem rather than making it our last-ditch call when difficulty strikes. Build habits of coming to him daily rather than only relying on him when things get tough. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we've cultivated the discipline and the pattern of trusting in the name of the Lord our God. So when other people will be brought to their knees and fall, we will rise up and we will continue in that rising, standing firm as non-anxious presences in the midst of difficult circumstances. One of the words that I love in here, it came up last week. It'll come up many times because it's my favorite Hebrew word, zakar, from which we get the word Zach or Zachary. Zakar means to remember. But as I said last week, right, Hebrew words, they're kind of pictorial and they present images and domains of meaning. And so this word has a whole range. It can mean to remember, to think about, to meditate upon, to pay attention to recollect, to mention, to declare, to recite, to proclaim, to invoke, to commemorate, to accuse, to confess. It has a whole range of meanings. And then in the grammar of both Greek and Hebrew, there are different tenses that you can use that change the meaning slightly. And where most translations are going to say, some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. This is not the word you would expect for trust. This is the word remember. And it's in a tense that says, we will cause the Lord to remember. And that's what trust is. Some will trust in their chariots and some in horses, but we will cause the Lord to think about and meditate and pay attention to and remember and recollect and mention and declare and recite and proclaim and invoke and commemorate us and the good that we've done and his heart toward us. And that's where our trust is in the God who remembers and looks down on us and rejoices in us and what's going on. Battles help us discover what we're really trusting. And battles help us to remind the Lord to remember us. And in that place, we have our hope. The psalm ends with this declaration, a clear declaration of trust. Our hope rests in the King. Lord, give victory to the King and answer us when we call. Our hope is in the King. Psalm 20 is really a celebration and a declaration of dependence. I found it interesting sitting yesterday thinking through this and then this morning thinking about it, that we spent the day yesterday celebrating the Declaration of Independence and what that means for our country. And then what we always have to do as believers is you walk in the very next day and we have to make our declaration of dependence. Like the nation that we're a part of, and this is not just the US, it's true of all of the world and our fallen nature, but it is our way to declare independence. I don't need you, I don't need him, I've got this covered. Every day we have to redeclare our dependence on him. Lord, our hope rests in you. You're the one that gives us victory. Our hope is in you answering when we call. Remember I said David speaking prophetically, potentially. David speaking prophetically to Christ and to the victory that would come. A victory that Jesus would win, that would cause some to be forced to their knees in front of us and others to rise up in worship and adoration. Lord, give victory to that King, to Jesus and what he did, to the victory that's continuing to be worked out right now as we live in unknown outcomes and battles as we await the day where he returns and sin and death is defeated and life is back the way it was intended to be. God, that's who we're putting our hope in. That's where we're sitting this morning. I want to land on an important, but again, often hard to grasp truth. Simple to say, harder to wrap our heart around in truth. Faith is not about confidence in a successful outcome. It's about confidence in God regardless of the outcome. We are products of the culture that we're in, and we are living in a capitalist culture. Capitalism tells us that if you do the right things, you have the right result. If you work hard enough, you'll have abundance. If you invest the right way, you'll be successful. If you climb the ladder, things will turn out the way they're supposed to be. We take that mindset and we read it into spirituality, and it sounds like this. If I do the right things, God will bless me. If I follow God, it will end in victory. If God calls me to this, it will turn out right. Everything will grow. My bank account will be overwhelming. All my troubles will go away. And we import it into our faith. And the key thing is, God doesn't promise that it always turns out the way that we hope. He doesn't promise that it will be successful every time we do it. Our confidence is not supposed to be in a successful outcome, but in the God who's in control, regardless of what the outcome is that we're walking toward. Faith is not confidence in success. It's been willing to surrender success to the God that we can be confident in. It's a hard one to wrap our head around. That's a hard one to be willing to submit to. And I have lots of stories, and I counsel lots of people who say, but God asked me to do this. Why is it a disaster? It's like, because he asked you to do it. He didn't promise that it would turn out the way that you imagined. And that's my story as well. And that's the place I end up in, right? My chariots and my horses. In that place, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to make it work, because my faith is often in the successful outcome rather than the God who loves me and can use the unknown outcome and the broken dreams to shape something in me that I would never surrender to otherwise. Some hope in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. Lord, give victory to the King and answer us when we call. God, we need these reminders. God, we live in a battlefield, a battle that's not always against flesh and blood, but against